says if the interference does not stop, Zambia might be banned from football activities by the football mother body. Efforts to get a comment from Minister Mlenga, however, proved futile as his phone remained unanswered. In our next item now, Football Association of Zambia National Committee member aspiring candidate Brenda Kunda says that the current improvement of women football in Zambia is due to the hard work put in by her and the current executive committee members. Zambia women national team qualified for the Olympics for the first time in the history of Zambian football after beating Cameroon 2-1 at Nkrumah Stadium in Lusaka. And the game ended, the two-legged affair ended 4-4, but Zambia did advance on the away goal rule. Kunda, who will be recontesting the committee member position, says women football was neglected in the past, adding that the foundation was not properly laid for it to improve at all levels.
I know there's still a few things that I would want to try and finish up with what we had as planned for the first 4 years. I know in the next 4 years, there's also things that we can actually work on to get the women football to even. If people are being objective and people are being honest with themselves, I think the amount of strides that we've made in women football in the past 4 years cannot be compared to anything that has been done in the past. And I believe even now, the fan base, the interest in women football, we've been able to rekindle that in the whole country. And I think with all that has gone in, with also the qualifiers, which is probably the hype of all the activities that we have done, what we lined up. So if people are being objective and are looking at women football and the development that has been achieved in the 4 years, I think then they should be.
And Kunda says the executive is in talks with SuperSport to negotiate televising of women football, both at national team level as well as league national team level as well as league level. She says the programs that are already in progress can only be completed effectively if the current executive is given another mandate. We take a look at the earlier story that we had on one of the aspiring candidates for the youth, that's a chairmanship in as far as Zambian football is concerned. Let's get to hear what he said about the minister and the reasons as to why he would want a government, or rather the president, to replace the current sports minister with another minister.
In football, we feel like he's the pioneer. I think Honorable Mlenga should be the last person to look at these angles that are done, because for me and us in football, we feel like he's the pioneer of these angles. When you are a minister, you are the mother of everybody. He decided to take sides, and it is not a good idea for a minister to take sides. We had Honorable Mawere. We never used to have this. I can tell you that the Honorable Minister has failed even to issue a contract to Mitchell. What is he waiting for? Meaning that there are some things that he wants to see in football. And I can tell you that we in football, we are not going to be succumb to whatever Honorable is trying to bring out in the game of football. What we want is that we want Honorable Mlenga to make sure that everything is in place. He's saying that the two parties meet National Sports Council of Zambia. National Sports Council of Zambia, they were appointed by him, came from his office. I feel it's him to sit down, the Andrew Kamanga camp, whichever camp which is there. Let him sit down and iron out some of these differences. Otherwise, the risks that we have is that we are not going to see football in Zambia. Because should FIFA come in, right now as I speak, this news is in the FIFA corridor in Zurich. And I can tell you, anytime FIFA comes, because there's too much interference from government. So Honorable Mlenga should, number one, make sure that it calls Andrew Kamanga to sit down. Why has he not signed the contract for Mitchell? We will lose Mitchell anytime soon, and he'll be banned, and we are going to remain without anything that we are going to say, okay, this is what we have. So for now, we're just going upon, if Honorable Minister cannot sit the two camps down, if there are camps, for us in football, we think there are no camps. If it's the time for Andrew Kamanga, Sandro Kamanga's time, Karushabara Scott had his own time. He ruled Faz for 2 terms. And what do we need? If the other camp thinks that we do not need Andrew Kamanga, let's go for elections. That's why we have elections. And FIFA approved the roadmap of the elections that we are presented by Faz, meaning that we are good to go. That's why FIFA said the only thing that delaying these elections is coronavirus. And we have so many things to fight. We have fighting coronavirus, we begin also to fight the ministers issuing these statements and here and there. This is why we are saying that I think let His Excellency give us another Minister of Sport. This is what we are saying as concerned.
Those are the thoughts of Nchima, and the reason why he would want the president to replace the current Minister of Sports, that's Emmanuel Mlenga. But now on set, I'm joined with Priscilla Kanel Priscilla Katongo. Katova. I have to be very. I have to know the titles very well because
yes.
You people in the army,
yes.
in the army, I think the titles are quite very important. But earlier on, I'm sure you saw the earlier story that we had on Zambia having qualified to the Olympics for the first time in women history. As you aspire for a position and FAS committee, I would want to know if you've played any role in these qualifiers. Do you have any team, any of the players coming from your team?
Yeah, thank you very much, first of all, for hosting me. On that question, I've played a very big role. What do I mean? Right now, if you ask me, who am I? Of course, I am Kenel Priscilla Katova, coming from Zambia Army. I am the president of Green Buffaloes Women Football Club, the club that contributes the well-known national team players, so to say. If we talk of the qualifying team to Tokyo 2020, I think Green Buffaloes is the biggest supplier of players there. I think around 9 players were in that team from Green Buffaloes. And I think that is an achievement which needs to be acknowledged. Players are not made at national level. That's one thing people should be able to understand. True. Players are made at club level, and that's why you need a lot of sponsorship. So, having had those 9 players in the national team qualifying for Tokyo 2020, I think it's a success, on my side, and it's a big role that I see myself having played at a national level. Yes.
Now let's talk about the elections. Unfortunately, they were supposed to be held this next weekend, but they've been moved to a date which is yet to be announced because of the coronavirus outbreak that has so far claimed over 16,000 lives globally. And earlier on, just before coming on set, some more new cases were being revealed. Looks like it's not coming to an end anytime soon. We only hope that it will be contained. But speaking about the elections, what really prompted you to decide to vie for this position?
I think in someone's life, you need to know what is your passion, okay? What is it that God has given you that you need to offer either to the nation, is it in the community and the like? When I look at my life, I think I've got the passion for football in general. And, to be specific, women football. And as a result, I've looked at it from the grassroots level, at club level, that I've contributed so much, okay, especially on women football. Having been with Green Buffaloes for 6 years now, and having had, played another role of creating my own ladies academy in Central Province, I thought I've done so much that I should be able, to bring that experience on board at national level. Yes.
How long have you been in football generally?
Generally, if I were to say, as a football administrator, full time, 6 years. 6 years. But of course, I think I've been in football, way back when I was still a child.
So you understand the ins and outs of what it takes what it takes for one to be a good administrator.
Yes, I do.
Now, indeed, let's talk about your chances of coming out victorious. We have quite some big names. We have Brenda Kunda. I think she's been at the FA for quite some time, and she's still there. She's also contesting for this position. How do you rate your chances? Have you done enough homework, enough going out there asking the councillors to vote for you? Have you done enough homework for you to be elected by the councillors? Because I know the councillors are the voters, and have you been that impressive?
Quite impressive. And coming to your question of how I rate myself, I think, there's no one who can put themselves on a failing board. Of course, I rate myself 100%, on the winning table. Why do I say so? I think if you check on all those women that are standing for this particular position as women's representative in the FAS Executive Committee, most of them, so to say, the 4 of them are coming from men's football. So, women's football is something which is diverse from the men's football. So I take it that they do not have the real knowledge of women's football. So, coming from that background of women football, I think I've got all it takes, that I understand what it is that women football needs at any particular level. It all starts from, grassroots, like I could have earlier said, from the club level. And, from the club level, if you understand women football, then you've got the chance. But if from grass level, you've got the understanding of men's football, then I don't think you can be able to manage women's football. Because what I can tell you, women, you need to understand women. I think you've got sisters. The way you can handle your brother and the way you can handle your sister, they're 2 different things. So that's why I'm saying I've got the chance to be on top there, because I understand women football from the club level and not just taking it up from national level. No, I have to get it from club level.
Your club indeed are doing very well, and they won the championship, if I'm not mistaken. Yes,
they did.
They did win the championship. But let's talk about one thing that we lack as a country, as I speak now, is a national league when it comes to women football. We do have the Midlands, a league in the Midlands. We also have a league on the Copper Belt where we have Indene Roses, one of the best performers. Because if we are going to compare, I think Green Buffaloes can be compared to Indene Roses, because these are almost always the champions of these 2 regions. Mm-hmm. What plans do you have for National Women League?
I think you haven't maybe seen my manifestos or read it, so to say. In my manifesto, we are saying, right now, when you look at it, I think the women's football is nothing that you can call, anything. It's more or less like an amateur. And,
when we talk about the National League, because
yes,
I don't think you are going to call the national team an amateur, which you are part of, and looking at what they achieved just a few weeks ago.
I'm talking at the National League as structuring, as a structure of the women's football. Why I said so is, it needs a lot of, strategies, to come up with a National League. I think a basis, the girls should have a basis where to coming from somewhere, going somewhere, because you cannot be at national team when you don't know where you are coming, interacted with provinces. If you check right now, I think we have got only 4 live. That's when they are coming up with the teams. I think right now that's when they have reached Southern Province. That's when they are coming on board. And I think I've interacted with the Pemba Girls administrators, with which I think we came up with by end of last year, we are coming up with certain teams in the districts. So all it needs right now, first of all, is to be leagues running down there. And besides that, I'm proud to mention that I think the schools to be brought on board. You remember, I think maybe you were too young by that time. The time I was in school, I think we used to have, all sports disciplines in schools. And that's exactly what Yeah.
And in international sports news, all things COVID, we begin with football, and thus in Germany, where footballers at German's top teams, including Bayern Munich, have agreed to pay cuts to help other clubs survive the economic impact of the coronavirus, media reports said on Tuesday. Now, newspaper Bild reports that players and club officials at champions Bayern Munich, top of the Bundesliga, when the season was halted on March 13, have accepted a 20% cut in their salaries. Like all top European leagues, the German top flight is long losing income from broadcast, sponsorships and ticket sales during the COVID-19 pandemic, with matches in Germany suspended until at least the 2nd of April. Bayern has a massive wage bill which reached 336 million euros, which is $364 million last year, almost half of club turnover. Players at Borussia Mönchengladbach were the first in the Bundesliga to propose a pay cut, followed by others at Werder Bremen, Schalke or Form. Borussia Dortmund and Bayer Leverkusen players are in talks over pay cut proposals with their management. And now we go to rugby, where Rugby Union's Champions Cup and Challenge Cup semi-finals and finals have been postponed because of the coronavirus pandemic. The finals of both competitions had been scheduled for the weekend of 22nd and 23rd May in Marseille. European rugby chiefs say they remain committed to completing the campaigns this season. The quarterfinals of both competitions, scheduled for the first weekend of April, had already been called off, with all rugby union across the continent on hold. The Pro 14, featuring sides from Ireland, Italy, Scotland, South Africa and Wales, has been indefinitely suspended, but the English Premiership still hope to resume their campaign, even if matches need to be played behind closed doors. European rugby organizers say they will work with the leagues in order to restructure a conclusion to its season as part of a wider rescheduling of the remainder of the season in Europe. Those are the details in as far as the Diamond Sports News is concerned, brought to you by MBET Zambia. A quick look at the headlines before we go. 2020 Olympic Games organizers agree postponement, and Zambia welcomes the decision. Youth calls for sports ministers removal. And in international sports news, we had Bayern Munich and other Bundesliga clubs agreeing to pay cuts amidst what is happening economically when it comes to the sport of football. On that note, we come to the end of the Diamond Sports News at 4 p.m. My name is Nchimu Nyangandu. Good afternoon.
The sports news was brought to you by MBET. MBET, where winners play.